this is going to make the difference in your future career between being unemployed or being very, very wealthy. Every single time you paste code from ChatGPT into your code editor for your work, I suggest you ask yourself if that activity is replacing you or enhancing you. This is what we're going to talk about in this video. I think it's very important that we understand this, because if you Google today the average salary for developers in UK, today Google will return something like 55,238. And if you have been using AI as a developer, you know that you're going faster. So now my question for you is your salary growing as fast as you are? Hi, I'm Anto, I'm a software engineer, and on this channel I'm documenting my journey. In the next 5 minutes I'm gonna tell you why I think AI can put 300k at least in your pocket in 2026. So every time you use ChatGPT, there is something you need to consider. There is a trade-off, because what you are doing, you are going faster, but there is a cost to that, right? And at one point you have to pay that cost. Every time you have a prompt that is too generic or too high level, for example, generate an entire app, ChatGPT will probably generate some sort of code that may work or works, can also be perfect, so it depends. My opinion is that we are constantly going to improve, so eventually we're going to get really good quality code. But the trade-off for me is that every time you do that and you use a prompt that is too wide, you are switching off your brain and also your career growth, because you are not learning anything. You are probably delivering what you have been asked to deliver, but if you don't know how to change it, you are just creating additional tech debt, and creating tech debt that you are not even aware of, and you don't know how to change it because you haven't read the code or you haven't understood the code, will just kill your career and kill your growth. So I think recruiters are already spotting who are the one-click engineers, and soon they will ghost your CV because they know that companies will start rejecting those profiles. So make sure you don't fall into that trap and you use AI to grow instead of replacing yourself. If we reflect a little bit what happened in the past, during the Industrial Revolution at the beginning of the 19th century, what we had the introduction of automated loom machines. These were improving a lot the production of textiles, and there were three types of mindsets, and I can totally see the same thing today in AI. The three mindsets at the time were people that were completely against these machines, so they were trying to destroy them because they were fearing of job loss. And the second mindset was people that just went with the flow, and then they eventually became factory workers. And three, people who mastered those machines and understood every single detail about those machines, and they became the world's first industrial millionaires. So why 300k is realistic? I think we need to consider this from a different situation, different angles. So I'm going to analyze this from based on if you are a permanent employee, if you are a contractor, or if you are a solopreneur. So if you are a permanent employee, I think AI will allow you to grow faster, and you can already see that. If you look at the current salaries, Google for AI salaries, they are higher of developer salaries. And if you learn AI and you apply AI daily to your activities, one, I'm pretty sure you can secure a promotion. Two, you can make a real good difference in your company. And this will both reflect in career growth, promotions, higher salaries, bigger bonuses. And if you add them up, obviously it depends on which part of the world you are and what are the salary ranges in that part of the world, but I think on average you can grow much more. Obviously, if you are a permanent employee, you're gonna face a little bit less risk compared to the contractors or the solopreneurs, and you will consequently earn a little bit less. But now let's have a look at the contractor. I think this is probably where AI can accelerate a lot, because as a contractor before you were specializing on something, but now with AI you can compensate for all the knowledge gaps. You can use AI as your assistant, and that can help you learning and compensating for all the knowledge gaps that you may have. This will allow you as a contractor, instead of billing hours, you can bill for entire solutions, but you have now available all these additional assistants or experts that can help you. So if you build your network of agents, and in this channel we're gonna see how to build agents in future videos. I'm working on something, so if you're interested, just click subscribe, because that's what I'm gonna talk about and that's what we're gonna cover during the next weeks. So if you can do that, you can automatically start charging for solutions instead of hours. And think, for example, if you can go with a statement where you say, I will cut in half your AWS bill or your cloud provider bill, or I will improve by 20% your productivity of your engineering workforce. These statements are obviously bold statements and require some work and data behind, but I think it's way more achievable for single contractors to provide these type of solutions. Obviously, this will be more in the space of small, medium businesses, but it's something that I can see. And if you disagree or you agree, just let me know down in the comment, because I am trying to understand a little bit where the market is going, what are the directions. So having that conversation in the comments will probably help. And finally, if you are a solopreneur, try to Google a little bit about micro SaaS acquisitions and see how many people are building their own micro businesses. And if you do a little bit of math, to achieve 300K, what you need is 1,000 paying customers with $25 per month. And that's how you make 300K. So now again, this may sound very simplistic, but what I'm seeing now is that before, if you wanted to build a business, you needed to have a range of competencies on the technical side, but not just on the technical side, also on the marketing side, on the advertising side, on the social side. Now is possible to get all this knowledge and get support from AI agents or from AI to build your own pipelines, build your own funnels. So I think if you spend time focusing on that, and that's exactly what I'm doing also with this YouTube channel, I'm trying to create an audience because that's how you can grow. Then eventually you can build your own SaaS and you already have an audience for that. So try to leverage AI to explore all these other fields that before required specialists. So now you have a way to learn all these new skills. So pick a lane. If you are an employee, if you are a contractor, or if you are an indie founder, make sure you leverage AI to get promotions if you are an employee, or to get high ticket outcome deals if you are a contractor, or to build a product that on top of everything can also give you an optional 7-figure exit. So whichever is your path, make sure you are growing with AI instead of being replaced by AI. So every time you copy paste, ask yourself that question, because that will make the difference between you not being able to find a job in the future to you being oversubscribed. So could you fall short? Yes, and this is the point of this video. What I'm trying to tell you is how you should use AI. Instead of being a consumer of the AI, you should leverage AI, and why you could fall short. Because if you ignore security and you just use AI as a magic wand, what is gonna happen is that you won't understand what is giving to you. So you may be happy with the result, but without understanding that, whenever someone comes back to you saying, can you fix this? Can you change this? You have no idea how to do it. So you have to move that code again into the AI, ask for the changes, and most of the time, if you have played with these type of technologies, it's going to change not just one thing, multiple things. So it may break additional things. So you don't have any safety net around the features that you build, because you don't have test coverage, you don't have regression testing, you don't have security, you don't have threat modeling for your application. So what is going to happen is that your code may work on the surface, but it's not production ready, it's not safe. It will be exploitable and will definitely represent the end of your career in one way or the other. So make sure you use AI in an ethical way, not just to do your work faster, because this is not going to last for long. So this is how I am using AI to learn, and how I'm using AI as an assistant, not as a replacement. So the first thing I do, I go with smaller questions. So I break down the project, I make sure I reference experts in the actual prompt. And I made a video about this, by the way, so you can find the video up here. And whenever you reference an expert, you get a very detailed answer that is based on their expertise, instead of asking ChatGPT to be a generic expert. So I highly recommend that thing. So again, the video is up there or down in the description. The other thing is that I ask lots of questions before giving instructions, because in this way you're going to be, one, more precise with your prompt, but also giving more context to the AI so that it understands how you want to build that project. Because there is a big difference when you try to build a proof of concept that doesn't necessarily have to go in production, but just to prove something that works, to a production ready code base. So these two things are fundamental, and the AI, and if you don't tell the AI what to do, guess what? It is going to decide for you, and you may end up with a POC level code shipped into production without you even noticing that. So that's why it's important to do these steps. The other thing is, after this conversation with the AI, what I do, I ask to craft a prompt to generate the project. So with all this context, the AI itself can generate your own prompt, reference all the experts, and make sure you have something that is comprehensive of the solutions that you want to do. Again, don't expect to create a single prompt and get a full working solution ready for you. It's never going to be ready, at least not in this period and with the maturity of the tools that we are using. And the more important thing is that you need to understand what you're shipping. So build in small steps, understand the architecture. These are all components that will be completely ignored when you have a generic prompt where you say, build me an application that does X. How many users? How big is going to be? There are so many questions you need to answer that the AI will just guess and give you something that is very basic. So at the end, when you get the output from your prompt, the other thing I do is asking AI to explain line by line. So you can use a prompt like this where you say, you are my senior mentor, explain line by line how this code works. Easy, but that will force you to go through the code, but you're gonna have a good understanding of what you're doing. Finally, what I do is to use AI to document what we are building. So the documentation aspect, especially on the technical side, is gonna be crucial if you're building a micro SaaS, especially because that will increase the value in case of an exit. So if you want to sell your startup, you need to make sure you sell to someone that can read the code. If you cannot read the code and there is no documentation, it's going to be very likely that you won't be able to sell it. So you will probably end up with an unsellable product that you have to maintain. And then the last advice is on the security side. So most of the time, whenever AI generates some code, because it has knowledge of the past and cannot have most recent knowledge of libraries and vulnerabilities and other things, you will end up with a set of libraries or dependencies that are slightly outdated, and with slightly outdated dependencies, it's very likely to have a number of vulnerabilities. So make sure you're updating your libraries and you are checking with the vulnerability scans that your application doesn't have well-known vulnerabilities in their libraries. And by the way, I have created a prompt for crafting technical documentation. I have mentioned that in a previous video, so you can find the video up here. I will also add the link for downloading the prompt directly in the description down below, so feel free to download if you're interested. So this is what I wanted to cover in this video. Now it's your turn. Make sure you are using AI and not being used by the AI. Make sure you are improving and growing with these new technologies, because otherwise you are going to be left behind by yourself, because you are just doing exactly what you're not supposed to do if you are copy pasting without understanding. So if you're serious about turning code into cash, this is what you need to do. Make sure you don't mess up, and if you're interested on how I'm doing these things, consider subscribing, because that's what I'm gonna talk about in this channel. So drop a comment about how you're using AI and how you're growing with AI, and see you in the next one. Bye!